Welcome back to Tribe Talks on the Game. I almost completely mixed that part up. Final Four set. I'm Kevin,
I'm Ethan.
and Final Four is set. Minneapolis, Minnesota. The four teams: Michigan State out of the East. I want to say Texas Tech out of the Midwest.
Yeah, the West.
UVA, who we had losing to Oregon. And Auburn. So the way this stage is set, it's going to be perfect. We have the perfect, almost old money versus new money. Michigan State, 10 Final Four appearances, 2 national championships, compared to Texas Tech, who just like 3 seasons ago were 13-19. Michigan State fended off what I thought was going to be a Duke win late in the game. They got a missed shot out of Duke, then got the rebound, then somehow managed to run out the clock to win by just a point. That was all Xavier Tillman and Cassius Winston, and then on the other side, of course, Zion Williamson being Zion Williamson. He's like the best player.
Although, give the Michigan State team credit. The one guy had over 25 points, I think.
I give them nothing but credit because the way that Tom Izzo builds his teams, it's not a surprise at this point that they either do really good in March or they're like a mess in March. And this year, it's the year where they're really good in March, and I think this year this might be the year that they win their first national championship since 2000.
And we have them winning the whole thing, so.
Yes, I'm taking that to my grave because other than that, our bracket was a complete mess. We only got one Final Four team right. I think we got like 2 Elite Eight games right. Maybe. No, wait. I think we only had like 3 Elite Eight teams in there.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that anymore. Texas Tech is one of the best defensive teams in the country. They've been good defensively since this new regime took over in, I believe, like 2016. They only allowed 69 points to arguably the best offense in college basketball. Gonzaga's been scoring 85 points consistently, even in the tournament, and I thought that was going to carry over, and obviously just didn't. And then on the other side of the bracket, we have Virginia, who defeated Purdue by just 5 points in overtime, 80-75. That was the Carson Edwards show. That guy is insane. He had 4 points in a loss because the rest of the team couldn't shoot if their life depended on it. It felt like I was watching like those movies where like it's just like what would you call the antagonist?
Mm-hmm.
Is it pro or antagonist?
The antagonist is the bad guy.
Yeah. Okay. So it's early. So it's like the protagonist, against like a whole bunch of like really bad basketball players, but then like somehow now they're on the same team, and it's like feel good story about a ragtag whole bunch of people who don't know how to play basketball, and then the one star who leads them. That was Purdue against Virginia. That was a mess. That was, I think the best way to explain it was organized chaos.
And I had to mention this in the teams. ESPN bias with Williamson. They always say he's the greatest, whatever. I saw something that the 4 best players of the week, and they did not mention him.
I think that's insane. He was arguably the best player of the week. The guy went off against Michigan State. He was not the reason they lost. He had something like 25 points. He shot maybe 55% from the field. He was all over the place.
He had insane stats for his games at that game, and that's like he deserves credit. I think he should have received something or whatever.
I think people finally began to realize that this talk about Zion Williamson, because throughout the regular season it was Zion's good, but it's getting annoying when ESPN talks about him. I think now people are starting to realize that Zion's really good.
Yeah, his stats were insane for the last game.
The way that he plays, he's unstoppable. The guy is 6'8". He's 260 pounds of pure muscle and strength. If you get in his way, you're gonna get hurt. There's just no other way to explain it. You're gonna get hurt. And then the other game for the Elite Eight was Auburn over Kentucky. I thought that was Kentucky's game the whole way.
Yeah.
And then Auburn pulled ahead, won in overtime, 77-71. This is Auburn's first Final Four appearance, which seems a little surprising, given that it is still Auburn.
They're a shocking Final Four appearance.
I thought they were going to lose to Kansas.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to lose in the round of 32 or whenever they played Kansas. I just didn't think they were that good of a team. I'll be damned. That was another great game. Auburn has a real chance of making it to the championship. The way that they play just unselfishly, they play meticulously, and they're a team that once you get into that Final Four situation where you're going to need a guy who can score, they've got guys who can score. Bryce Brown had like 24. I want to say Harper had 26. I think just the way that they play is impressive, but I keep going back to this Michigan State game because the way that they play, I think Tom Izzo deserves real credit for how he led his team. And people aren't going to give him that credit because it's still Tom Izzo and he's still one of the greatest coaches of all time. But he deserves real credit for how he led that team. I mean, we're talking about a team that doesn't have a true all-star, doesn't have a true number one player, is a group made up primarily of seniors who likely aren't going to ever make it in the NBA. And he's playing Zion Williamson. He's playing the best player I've ever seen in college basketball. He is unstoppable. And the way that Tom Izzo leads his teams, it just felt like throughout that game, Michigan, even when they were down by 4 with a minute left, you just felt like Michigan State was going to find a way to win that game. And obviously they did. It wasn't pretty. It was, in fact, sloppy. Go back to the organized chaos word. I think we're going to have more in an actual post, but I just want to hear your predictions. What do you have for final 2 teams? And then, of course, the winner. Are you sticking with Michigan State?
I'm sticking with Michigan State.
Ooh, I thought you were going to go Virginia.
I'm going to go Michigan State versus Virginia. I saw Virginia play against Florida State, and I do not think they're the greatest. I think Michigan State has the mentality going into it, and I think they really want to take it. So I'd have them winning.
I'm going to agree with you. I think Michigan State has the senior leadership. They have scoring from all places. They have one of the best coaches in college basketball history. And they've gotten this far for a reason. They beat Duke for a reason. I'm going to go them over Auburn because I want to see Auburn make it. I wasn't on the Auburn bandwagon until they beat Kentucky, but now I'm on that Auburn bandwagon, so I'm going to go Michigan State over Auburn, making it their 3rd national championship. First one since like 2000. It seems weird. We talk about Michigan State as Blue Blood, which if you don't know, Blue Blood is like one of the more historic programs in college basketball or college football. We talk about them as a college basketball Blue Blood, and they haven't won a national championship in 19 years. And they have a chance to win one. This is, I just love March.
Yeah.
And heartbreak aside, because we feel for guys like Carson Edwards who goes off for 44, but I think that's kind of all we have. Do you have anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Go Spartans.
Go Sparty.
But
oh,
I have to support them.
Come on, you hate Sparty? Have you seen that mascot?
Yeah.
That mascot's amazing. They have the best mascot out of the 4 teams.
Hey, we have a leprechaun.
And that's why you're not in March Madness.
We didn't even make the knit.
You guys didn't even make that idea. You guys haven't made a tournament for like 2 years now. At least you have your women's team.
It was a rough year. The women's team, though, is killing it.
And your football team.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you have another sport that you guys are good at. So, for Ethan Jane, I'm Kevin Fielder. And thank you for tuning in to Tribe Talks on the Game.